Absolutely.
Can you first tell us your name, your role at AACT, and maybe a little bit about how you came to that role with the organization?
Absolutely. My name is David VanCleave. I am the Education Director and New Playfest Dramaturg at AACT. I grew up in Des Moines, Iowa, doing theater. Started as an actor, that transitioned into working backstage, directing. I spent 6 years running a youth theater, and then COVID hit. And I was looking for the next opportunity. At that time, AACT was looking for an education coordinator, and it was perfect for me. It was a remote position, allowed me to stay in Des Moines near my family. I joined in 2021, and I just, in this cycle, became the New Playfest Dramaturg. So I just added that to my duties as well, which is the best job in the world. I get to travel the country. I get to work on new plays, visit extraordinary theaters all over the place. So I'm a lucky guy.
Can you tell us a little more maybe about the history of the organization and the history of New Playfest itself?
Yeah, New Playfest, definitely. So it started in 2014 was our first actual festival, but it started a couple years before that. There was a playwright emailed the president at the time and was asking, why aren't you doing more for playwrights? You know, there are so many plays that are being done by every single theater in the country. It seems like, everyone does Steel Magnolias, everyone does Greater Tuna, and nothing against those shows, but you have individual members of your organization who are playwrights. Why aren't you doing more to get their plays out? So at the time, I think she was vice president, Linda Lee, was working for Texas nonprofit theaters, and they have a competition called TNT Pops. And she was like, well, we can kind of adapt that model. And one of the key differences with New Playfest compared to most playwriting festivals out there is that the winners are guaranteed a fully realized production on the theater's main stage, which is really exciting, period. But we wanted to take it one step further, and so we reached out to a dramatic publishing company, and they jumped at the idea. So not only are the winning plays produced in a fully realized production, they're also published then by a dramatic publishing company who handles all the licensing for future productions. And one of my favorite things about this festival is that the actors and the designers and the crew from each production get their name listed in the opening of the script. So anytime you open a script, you see, this play premiered on this date at this theater, and these actors' names will be there. So any future production of Eating Blackberries will open the script, and we'll see, this premiered at Hickory Community Theater on April 5th, 2024. And there's one gentleman who, I don't even remember what theater he was at, but he'd been doing community theater for decades, and he did a New Playfest play, and when he opened the script and saw his name, he said, this is proof that I was here, that I contributed. And I think that's just a wonderful testament to the New Playfest and to the work that we do at AACT, and that's, AACT is known primarily for our national festival that we have every other year, and for that, community theaters, send shows, and they have to pack their entire set and fit it into a 10x10 box off stage. And with New Playfest, it's the opposite. We get to travel to them. So it's always an exciting day when, as dramaturg, I'm there for each opening, but we also have other ACT representatives, representatives from the Dramatic Publishing Company, as well as one of our sponsors, the Jack K. Eyre and Frank Airley Theater Foundation. So it's a really exciting time for us all to get together. We've been to all over the United States. It's always exciting.
Tell us a little bit about what the vision was for AACT when it began and where it sees theater going in America today, or even beyond America and globally, and what the organization sees as its mission as achieving in accomplishing that vision.
These are big questions, Paul. I think I need a pay raise in order to answer these. Well, AACT's mission is helping theaters thrive, and it's pretty simple. That was intentionally so, because it means so much, and it means different things to each theater. We have member organizations actually across the world. And when you think about it, we have community theaters that are on army bases in Europe, which is just crazy to me. You could be rehearsing a show, you could be 2 days out from opening, and your lead is deployed. And that happens regularly. But we have theaters of all budgets, all sizes, histories. And so as an organization, we have to serve the theaters who are just starting, who have a budget of whatever money the founder is willing to put in. And then we have theaters that have been around for 100 plus years with operating budgets of $4 million. And it's our mission to help all of them thrive. And we don't favor one or the other. And we see that, I think, primarily through New Play Fest, because we get to see the different sizes of theaters. We have, a place like Hickory that has this huge, gorgeous theater. And then I was just in Spokane, Washington, at a 60-seat house that's a little hole in the wall that produces incredible work. And it's exciting to see that it's not the budget, it's not the history, it's the people and the work that they're doing that make theater. And that's kind of what we do. Through webinars and classes and conferences, as well as our national festival, we also work with Venice Theater in Florida for the World Fest that happens every other year, where we bring in theater companies from across the world. You can see, a clown show from France to a Brazilian puppet show, everything in between, Italian commedia. It's incredible and inspiring to see the work that is being done all across the globe. In terms of where theater's going, we were just joking about AI and how AI is kind of taking over, and theater is unique in the sense that it is a living, breathing art form, and it is different night to night, and it is different, anywhere you go. It's never going to be the same, and that is something so exciting. It's so collaborative by nature, and AACT, I think, plays a small role in that with all of our members to some degree, whether it's recommending scripts or, we have a place on our website where people can say, this show did really well for us, we sold out. This show we thought was going to do really well, and it didn't. And it gives the theater leaders an opportunity to kind of gauge what's working and what's not working, and learn from those mistakes and build upon the successes of others.
So I feel like dramaturg is a term and a role that can be shrouded in mystery for many.
Uh-huh.
It almost has a gatekeeper quality to it, in terms of access to not forbidden knowledge.
Right. It's forbidden.
So how would you describe the role of the dramaturg, and what has being a dramaturg meant to you?
What is a dramaturg? It's one of those questions that keeps me up at night. There are dramaturging and literary manager conferences where we debate not only the description of a dramaturg, but even how to spell it. There's a camp that put the E at the end, and there's a camp that don't. I'm of the camp that does not put the E. But with the E, it translates to drama writer. Without the E, it translates to drama worker. And so a dramaturg can mean different things on different productions. The way I like to look at it is, if you're working on a production, and you have the playwright and the actors and the director and the designers, and they're all trying to get to the same destination, but they're all starting in separate cities. A dramaturg's job is to look ahead and print out the road maps and make sure that everyone is going to get to the same destination at the same time. So sometimes that means doing historical research on the playwright, on the genre. With new plays, a lot of times it's just looking through with a fine-tooth comb. The first show I dramaturged for New Play Fest, we were doing a workshop, and we had a conversation that came up each day that we were there for 4 days. And it was one line that just wasn't landing, and the line was, "Fred, tell your story." And we tried a dozen different possibilities, and we ended with, "Tell your story, Fred." It was literally a matter of moving the name to the end of the sentence, but it's that type of work. And sometimes it's consistency within punctuation or stage directions. I leaned over to Pam last night and said, "We have a note that the car alarm stops, but I'm not sure where it begins." And it was in there. I missed it. But a dramaturg is really, for New Play Fest, I think the playwright this is their baby. The script is their baby, and they're so excited to see it produced. For the theater company, they're focused on the production. My role focuses on the script, and I want to make sure that the script is in as strong of shape as possible, so that when we send it to a dramatic publishing company, every theater in the nation wants to produce it. So I'm looking long term. And sometimes that means cultural references. Are these going to stand the test of time? We want people to produce these plays 10 years, 15 years from now. Are these references going to line up?
Can you speak to how competitive you feel the New Play Fest process is in terms of number of submissions, the reading and vetting process, getting to the final six?
Absolutely. Well, I think the New Play Fest is competitive on two sides. The first step is identifying the producing theaters. And we have dozens of theaters that apply each cycle, and we have to vet those theaters. It's important to us that we have geographic diversity. AACT is broken up into various regions, and we don't want all the theaters coming from the same region. But we want to make sure that we also have diversity in terms of size and history, and those who have done New Play Fest before and had a great time, and those who are brand new. So that's a fun process that includes interviews with the panel. The actual play submission is, like I said, it's a three-step process, three-tier. And I think last year we had over 350 scripts submitted. And the first tier is just reading the first 15 pages. And I think 15 pages, you can tell if this is quality. And then it moves on to a second tier that has more readers and more reviewers. And in the third tier, they actually give feedback to the playwrights, which I think is valuable. And eventually we get our way to the semifinals. And from that third tier, any play that reaches a certain level is then sent to this massive list. And we have to dwindle that list down to about 13, 15 plays. Those plays are then sent to the producing theaters, who rank them in terms of the best show for their theater. And what's tricky, I think, is sometimes you can have an amazing play that's one of those semifinalists that's just not right for those theater companies, and that's the thing that we've had two this year, I think, that submitted previously and made it to semifinals, but weren't selected, and they were selected this year.
Given all of the development and production that you've been involved with in your role as dramaturg, where do you, in that process, find the greatest reward for what you have done as part of that process?
Well, the first show I worked on, last cycle I worked with Kathy Pingle, who was a dramaturg in the previous cycle. So I worked with her on a few shows. And I'm not gonna lie, seeing my name in that script, in that published script, was an exciting moment. But for me, it's all about that energy in the rehearsal room. I love these workshop periods where I get to work with the playwright in person, with the director and the actors, and there's always that moment, that aha moment, where it's it's all the creative energies and creative forces working together, and when we finally find that solution is an exciting time. And then to be able to come back on opening and see the audience reactions specifically to those moments it's just exciting. I am not a playwright by any means. I admire what they do. So to be able to be a small part of that and just help them polish off their scripts, I think that's the best way to phrase it.
What would you like audiences to see in this production and in their understanding of New Play Fest and AACT? What would you like them to see about the importance of everything that you're doing to bring a script to the stage like this?
Yeah. So New Play Fest, throughout our history, we have produced world premieres of shows that have been produced all over the world. In fact, the very first show that New Play Fest produced was called Exit Laughing, and it has been performed. There's actually a national tour in Sweden, I think. It's just insane how it's just blown up around the world. And that's not the only one. We have scripts that are produced all over. Just last year, one of the plays was produced in Iceland. And that's incredible to think that it started not just in America, not just at this, specific theater, whatever theater that is, but it started with community theater, and I think that's so exciting. And so the people of Hickory have this really unique opportunity to see a play that has never been produced before, but is guaranteed to be published and to be sent out to theaters across the country and across the world. And you never know where these plays are going to be produced next. And to be able to say, I was there at the beginning, I was there at the very first production, I think is a unique privilege that the community has that they don't get it very often.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
So similar, is there anything else that we haven't discussed or I haven't asked that you would like to talk about in terms of your relationship to this process or to the New Play Fest or to this production in particular?
Every play and every experience is a little bit different. I think we're fortunate that Pam's script was in amazing shape to begin with. So the little changes and the little tweaking that we're making are so minor. But that's just a testament to who she is as a writer. And it's been proven before. She's had successful productions all over, so I think you're getting quality work. And the other thing I'd mention is if there are any playwrights in the area, we are open submissions for the 2026 New Play Fest cycle on May 1st. So if any local playwrights want to throw their hat in the ring, you can find that out at act.org/newplayfest.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you to you and Pam for being here, for all of the support that you're giving to this production, and for all of the productions that you've given support to.
Absolutely.
Around
Thank
the
you.
world and around the country.
Thank you for producing this amazing play.